Well, if you guys are big fans of Stardom, well, you guys are in the right channel. As you know, this past weekend, they just are starting the celebration of 15 years, of course, of being around. But they had a 2-day event in Korakuen Hall called New Year Stars, featuring, of course, plenty of matches. But as you probably heard or not, I recently updated you guys that Maki Itoh made her appearance to, of course, announce that she is officially Stardom full time, and not to mention the following day she had a match, and we'll get to that. But of course, on day one, the Goddesses of Stardom tag team belts are defended. BMI 2000, Natsuko Tora and Raka of Hate defend them against O2 Line, Azumi and Miyu Amasaki of Neo Genesis. And then, of course, on day two, well, there's a double main event. The first one is, of course, the CML Japan Women's Championship. Azuki defends it against Mei Sita. And then, of course, the artist titles are on the line. Hate members Konami, Rina, and Fukigen Death defends them against God's Eye, Hina, Lady C, and Tomoka Inaba. So it's going to be a blast. And then, of course, as always, we'll wrap up our episode as usual with some news updates, give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is the channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers. Let's get to it. So, as I mentioned, it's a 2-day event in Korakuen Hall by Stardom. So, let's begin with day one of New Year's Stars. Alright, Stardom, New Year's Stars. This is day one of the two shows in Korakuen Hall that they did, and this happened on the 10th of January. This was this past Saturday. Now we open up with tag team action. We have Ane Kanaya teaming up with Koguma. They face against Fuwa-chan and Azuki. Now, of course, many of you know that Fuwa-chan had a match against Azuki, and this was a very interesting match. Now, many of you may not know this. Last year, Fuwa-chan had teamed up with Azuki, and of course, for those who may have forgotten, Azuki has been, of course, Fuwa-chan's senpai, learning how to become a pro wrestler, and that's very interesting to see. But the one thing that, of course, that many of you know, when it comes to Koguma, you know that she wants to do the Kuma pose. Well, it seems Fuwa-chan had no time for this nonsense for her to do the Kuma pose, and of course, people booed at her. And of course, Azuki is not a fan of the whole Kuma thing, but she's used to it. Fuwa-chan has not got used to the whole thing. But obviously, she did a pretty good job. But in the end, it was Azuki that picked up the win on Kanaya with, of course, a submission, forcing her to tap out, and just like that, over. Now, our next match, we have our current New Blood Tag Team Champions, Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kawara, also known as Sakurada of the Cosmic Angels, taking on stars consistent of Yuria Him and B. Priestley. Now, some of you may have thought that in some capacity, because B. Priestley's experience would have been the obvious choice to pick up the win. Obviously, yes. However, we have seen how cohesion both Aya Sakura and Sayakura have been in the last couple of months. And of course, they won the New Blood Tag Team belts last year, and not to mention they became the Goddesses Tag League winners last year. And that says it all. I mean, I have to say they did a pretty good job being on the same page and doing exactly what they're supposed to do. But it was Sayaka Kurara with the Tomiki Spear, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. So Sakurada picked up the win. Now, there was a vignette that was happening not too long ago throughout this entire time since the start of 2026, and it turned out to be none other than the cutest in the world, Maki Itoh. Now, some people might have never expected this, that she would come to Stardom. And of course, the president, Taro Okada, was there too to address the fan base that Maki Itoh will be in Stardom full time, which is great news. And I'm sure many Maki Itoh fans are truly excited. And and I reported this not too long ago about that, so we can't wait. But however, she will have, of course, she did have a match the following day, so we will review that one as well. Now, let's move on. Our next match, we have, of course, an interesting 8-woman tag match. We have the members are stars, Momo Kogo and Saida. They team up with Olympia and Wenza! Yep, Alex Windsor. So basically, that's what happened. They face against um, God's Eye members consisting of Kiyoka, Kotatsu, Rana Yagami, and Saki Kashima and Shuri. Now, of course, nothing too special about this match. Now, I know Olympia has teamed up with Saida and the members of Stars a few times. I have to say, I would potentially like to see Olympia as a member of Stars, which is a good thing to watch. As for Alex Windsor, well, that's a different thing. I mean, I don't know exactly how that will turn out, but we'll see how that be. But however, we did see, of course, a moment of Saida picking up the win on Kashima, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. However, while the winners walked out, Saki Kashima made a very interesting announcement that she has announced her retirement on this coming April, and was a very total shock and surprise for many fans. No one expected her to do that. Ironically, this is the same venue where Tam Nakano was forced to retire after losing to Saya Kamitani. But I think I may explain a little bit about that. I think that's in our news update. Let me check my notes just to be sure. Yes, we'll talk about that in a bit, so we'll get to that. Now, our next match, we have Mi Vida Loca, consisting of Izuki Aoki and Bozilla, taking on Kyoko Furuzawa and Waka Tsukiyama. Now, obviously, we know that Aoki and Bozilla are very good terms. They are a good team. However, when it comes to Furuzawa and Waka, they are a makeshift team. Most likely, they can't possibly try to pick up the win. But when it comes to Bozilla, you know you don't want to deal with her. But in the end, it was Aoki that picked up the win when she applied a frog splash onto Waka, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. It was over. Now, our next match, we have an interesting 6-woman tag match. We have Neo Genesis members May Sita and Starlight Kid. They team up with Yuki Mashiro. They take on the Cosmic Angels, consistent of Yuna Mizumori, Sayori Anu, and Natsupoi. Now, obviously, we know the history. Many of you guys know May Sita lost the high speed belt to Yuna Mizumori. But however, you all know that recently Yuki Mashiro is now the next challenger. So obviously, you can say in this particular match that it's a preview, a preliminary match between Mashiro and Mizumori. And that says it all because in the end, it was Mashiro that walked away with the win with the pinfall onto her. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, she did put out a promo talking to Mizumori. I'm sure it's all about her defeating her for the high speed belt. So we'll see what happens when we cross that bridge. Now, our next match, we have the members of Hate, Azusa Inaba, Fukigen Death, Rian, and Konami taking on God's Eyes to consistent of Tomoka Inama, Lady C Hina, and Ami Sori. Now, of course, when it comes to Hate, we know how they operate. They often use unnecessary tactics, especially when they try to cheat their way through in every moment they got. But however, in the end, it was uh, Tomoka Inaba that was able to make the win when she applied a Michinoku driver onto Fukigen Death, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, of course, we did see God's Eye do a promo mostly coming from Tomoka Inaba, and I'm sure that their aim is for the artist belt, which obviously later became the main event on day 2. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match, we have Mi Vida Loca, consistent of Akira Kurigani and Rina Yamashita taking on EXV members Rian and Micah. Now, obviously, we know that there's been some tensions between these two factions, between EXV and Mi Vida Loca. Obviously, as you all know, the history, both leaders have disliked each other for almost 2 years ago, and that sets it up right there. But in the end, it was Micah that picked up the win on the Michinoku driver onto Kurigani, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. But we did see a post match promo where Micah had some words to say. So we'll see a match between them in the following day. So we'll get to that. Now, our next match, we have Hanako taking on Risa Serra. Now, for those who may not know this, remember, on January 12th, Risa Serra will have her final in ring match because she officially retires from pro wrestling. And Hanako is one of the last few opponents that she'll be facing. However, we know that Risa Serra, as you know, being a tough wrestler and, of course, part of the deathmatch community, that says it all. But Hanako has been showing her strength and her ability, what she can do in the ring, and that's exactly what she did when she put her in the chokehold, and just like that, it was over. And of course, the post match promo was a heartwarming sadness because Hanako had to be the one person to defeat her, and it's sad that Risa Serra is now hanging up the boots, and of course, Risa Serra felt the same way. So that's how things end right there. Now, our main event is the Goddesses of Stardom, the tag team belt. BMI 2000, Ruaka and Natsuko Tora of Hate defend them against O2 Line, Miyu Amasaki and Azumi of Neo Genesis. So that sets it right there. Now, of course, when it comes to Hate, we know that they will do whatever it takes not to lose the belts. I mean, they use weapons, they use their seconds as distraction, or try to get involved while they do distraction, however they see fit. But we did see a double mist coming from both Natsuko and Rock onto both Amasaki and Azumi, and in the end, we did see a swanton by Natsuko Tora onto Amasaki, and just like that, it was completely over. Now, of course, we know that Hate are consistently trying to show that they are now in full control of Stardom, but not because they have most of the belts. That's exactly what they have. But sooner or later, they may have to drop those belts. We just don't know when or where. So we'll see what happens. But as of right now, we're done with day 1. Let's move on with day 2. Okay, we continue with War with Stardom New Year Stars Day 2 in Korakuen Hall. Now, this happened this past Sunday on the 11th of January. Now, we opened up with a 5-on-4 handicap match. For many of you may be wondering what's going on. This is what happened. We have Mi Vida Loca consistent of Kiri Kurigani, Izuki Aoki, Rina Yamashita, and Bozilla. Now, Suzuki was not present due to dealing with some illness. Their opponents are the full force of EXV, consistent of Rian, Wakasukiyama, Hanako, Zina, and Micah. So basically, many of you would think the advantage goes to EXV for obvious reasons because they have the numbers, obviously, too. But of course, we did see a bit of a hot fight between both Hanako and Bozilla. Now, at some point later, I don't know, I might have lost track, but it was Bozilla got injured and the match went on even though she was out for the count. And of course, Micah was the one who picked up the win onto Rina Yamashita with the Michinoku driver, and just like that, 1, 2, 3. And then of course Micah applied a promo to Yamashita. Most likely we could see those two battle out. I don't know when, but it could happen. So stay tuned for that. Now, our next match, we have the members of Hate, consistent of Azusa Inaba and our current tag champions Raka and Atsuko Tora. They take on Stars, consistent of Yuri Him, Saya Ida, and B Priestley. Now, when it comes to Hate, we know their usual tactics. They use weapons, they use distractions. Their seconds normally will help them out if they have to. That's always been their MO. But in the end, it was B Priestley that picked up the win when she pinned what's her name, Natsuko Tora, with a somewhat look more like a Mahestral, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. However, I would not be surprised because A, for those who know, I did mention Natsuko Tora along with Raka, are tag champions. I would not be surprised if B Priestley, of course, issue a challenge for those tag belts. That's something we could definitely see because, as you know, she and Saida were in fact tag team partners in Tag League. So that could possibly happen. We just don't know when or where it could happen. They could cash in at any given time. Now, our next match, we have a three-way. We have Ana Kanaya versus Momokogo versus Azumi, of course. And this is one of those matches where, of course, anything could chaotically happen. Now, of course, when it comes to Ana Kanaya, she most likely is the least less experienced in the team. Most likely, she is the one who will take the fall. And that's exactly what we've been witnessing. But we did see some great moments with Momo, how she was able to pick up some great momentum. But in the end, you cannot lack the experience of Azumi when she applied the Azumi Sushi. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, she picked up the win onto Ana Kanaya. And that's it. It's all she wrote, folks. Now, our next match, we have an interesting 8-woman tag match. We have Kikyo Furuzawa teaming up with the ladies of God's Eye, consisting of Kyoka Kotatsu, Saki Kashima, and Ami Suri. They take on the combined forces of Neo Genesis, consistent of Miyu Amasaki and Starlight Kid, teaming up with the Cosmic Angels, Yuri Mizumori, and Natsupoi. Now, obviously, nothing too special about this match anyway, but we do know how God's Eye, they are a consistent, tough team. They've shown their fighting skills no matter what, but of course, you got to be more careful with Kashima. She's a little sneaky, if you guys have noticed. But in the end, it was a Tiger suplex by Starlight Kid onto Furuzawa, who obviously is the least experienced in the match. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Our next match, well, it's an interesting one. Many of you know these two ladies fought each other for the IWGP Women's Championship in Ring of Honor last year, and now they're teaming up. We're talking about Wenza. Yep, her and the Sun God, of course, Suri, taking on God's Eye, consistent of Rani Agami and Shuri. Now, of course, obviously, Suri hasn't forgotten the fact that she lost the IWGP Women's title last year to Shuri. So obviously she has an aim for it. I'm sure probably Alex Windsor too. I wouldn't expect less. But in the end, it was Windsor, who picked up the win with the sharpshooter onto Yagami, and just like that, Yagami had no choice but to tap. Now, our next match, this one's an interesting one. We have Sakurada, our current New Blood Tag Team belt, and of course, people call them Young Kozen, consistent of Aya Sakura and Saya Kurara. They take on the combined forces of course, one of their own team members and two of the de facto leaders, Sayuri Anu, and she teams up with the cutest underworld Maki Itoh. Now, I did not anticipate this one whatsoever, but however, I'm sure many fans were behind Maki Itoh no matter what because she is one of the most popular Yoshi wrestlers that there is. But of course, when it comes to makeshifts, we know that with Sayuri Anu and Maki Itoh, that's a different story. This is the first time teaming up. But when it comes to teams like Sakurada, they are very cohesion because A, they are the current New Blood Tag Team belts and last year's Goddesses Tag League winner. So that sets it up. But we did see some interesting moments. There was a bit of a misfire beat with Maki Itoh onto Anu, and of course Anu was pissed. She was attempting to do a stunner, and Anu was not liking this, and she was like, I'm sorry." But apparently, Sayaka applied a spear onto both of them, but in the end, it was Sakurada who picked up the win by pinning Maki Itoh, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. However, that does not end things here. Well, let's just say that Aya Sakura had some things to say to Maki Itoh. Now, many of you know this. During a post-match comments, she mentioned that she and Kurara are in fact disciples of the cutest idol wrestler in the universe, and you guys know who I'm talking about, Tam Nakano. They follow her to the end, of course, until she was forced to retire. And of course, they feel like disrespected knowing that Maki Itoh is declaring herself as the cutest in the world. So it's more like who is getting the title. But however, Aya Sakura put herself in a match against her that will happen next month on February 7th. And here's the stipulation: if Maki Itoh loses, she has to declare, of course, Aya Sakura as the cutest in the world. So that's gonna be interesting right there to see. So I can't wait to see it. So you guys tell me what you think. So it's a very interesting one. Now, our next match, this is for the CML Japan Women's Championship. Azuki defends it against Meisera. Of course, now Meisera made this announcement that she wanted a challenge for this championship, like maybe right after she lost, like maybe the next event after she lost to Yuna with the high speed belt, and of course it happened. Now, of course, I have to say there was some great moments in this match that really were showing. Don't forget, Azuki is a former high speed champion, so that sets it up. But in the end, Azuki picked up the win by pinfall, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. And of course, Azuki had some words to say to Meisera and all that, but she even announced her next. She nominated her next opponent for this belt, and that person is none other than Olympia. So that's gonna be another match that we definitely get invested in. So we'll see. Now, our main event is for the artists of Stardom, which is the trio belts. We have God's Eye members consisting of Tomoka Inaba, Lady C, and Hina, taking on Hate members Fukigen Death, Rina, and Konami. Now, of course, many of you know that both Rina and Hina are twin sisters, and they are often on the opposite side of each other. Um, of course, this is the battle of like who out of the two twin sisters are better. Now, don't forget they do have an older sister, and that is Hanan, who's been out of action for quite some time. And of course, we know that Hate will do their usual tactics, which has always been their MO for a long time. But in the end, we did see, of course, Hina, Rina that picked up the win with a somewhat version of the Gringo Killer type, the kind of move that Homicide would use. And just like that, she applied it into Hina. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. And then, of course, we did see a post match promo with Rina saying things to Rina. I'm going to guess that she's saying to her that she's the better sister than her. Because, of course, Rina is trying to surpass not only Hina, but also the big sister, Hanan. So that pretty sets it up. But however, of course, and many of you guys know this, Rina issued a challenge for the white belt against Konami. So we're gonna see that at some point. Just don't know when and where, but stay tuned for that. So can't wait to see it. So I think that's pretty much it that happened with Stardom. I'm sure we will be seeing more events coming up soon. But as of right now, let's call it here and move on to our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin as always with upcoming events. GCW continue with more announcement of the Code of the Street, which is their Dallas show on the 17th of January. They just announced Kroll will take on a guy named Dmitry Alexandrov. I don't know who he is. I am familiarized with Kroll. And of course, as you know, New Japan will be returning to the U.S. for New Beginning. It's going to take place in Trenton, New Jersey on February 27th. Our current double champion, the IWGP Global and Heavyweight Champion, Yota Tsuji, will be present. Now, for some interesting developments, Starboy Charlie has announced on his social media that he has been confirmed that he has been invited to the WWE tryouts. So there's that. So hopefully he'll do good. We'll see how things will roll for him there. As you all know, I mentioned Saki Kashima announced her retirement. So from it's going to happen on April 22nd at the Yokohama Arena, and her opponent will be none other than Shuri, which is going to be interesting. No, oh, hold on. No, Shuri will be she'll be facing Shuri on the 7th of February. But also, she explained the reason she's retiring is because her stamina has been waning. Now, if you guys notice, a few times Kashima had missed out due to poor health issues. So it's understandable that's the reason. If doctors are telling her that her health has been a problem and that she needs to stop, then she has to do the same thing. It's not the first time that something like that has been mentioned. So we'll see how things will go for her from there, and hopefully we see the best match ever. Now, many of you know this. I mentioned Natsupoi has been familiarized with Maki Itoh. As you all know, back in the day, Natsumi was known as uh, Natsupoi was known as Natsumi Maki. So basically, there was a feud, and she had some things to say regarding Maki Itoh. She did ask about her signing with Stardom, and she said, "When I saw that video package, I thought, no way. But she has been going overseas and stuff. And I thought the kind of pro wrestling Ito wanted to do wasn't in Stardom, so I wasn't sure if she wouldn't come. That's why I'm really curious about what changed her heart made her come to Stardom." Obviously, I mentioned that she said now that Tam Nakano and Julie are gone, she wants to be the savior Stardom, but also not only the main character. That's something she would say. But she often say that Maki accused her, saying that she's jealous of her, and of course Natsupoi thought that it was ridiculous coming from her. And this is what she said: "Jealous?" She laughed. "Don't drag me into the low level cute stuff. We are on different levels. In this Ito Grand Prix world or something, I've lost to Ito in a singles match once. That loss is a black mark in my history. I'm not going to play along with the Ito world anymore. Startup isn't that easy." The Ito 1 Grand Prix is reference to the M1 Grand Prix, Japan's most famous and prestigious annual comedy competition. So yeah, so basically there's still some unresolved issues between both of them. So we'll see how that rolls. But as of right now, we'll end things here with everything. We're done with our news updates. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have NXT, so I'm looking forward to what's going to happen. As you know, we come off right after New Year's Evil, so a lot of questions are going to be asked now that, as you saw, Obafemi has relinquished his belt, leaving it in the middle of the ring. What's going to happen? Well, we'll just have to wait and see until then. Now, if there's any events on my review, hopefully I do, but if not, I apologize to that. But I think that's pretty much it what we have. So as of right now, I'll say this, that I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.